Hi, this is Zachariah. You are listening to ManySeeds Radio. Today I'm going to be interviewed by the lovely Moonleaf. We are sitting in a forest in Big Sur, California, a rushing river going right by us, feeling really present and ready to talk about this source energy breathing that I'm gearing up to prepare sharing with the world. So, Moonleaf, how you doing over there?
Hey Zachariah, I'm doing amazing. Just kind of reflecting on the work that you're doing and the breathing that we've been doing together as we kind of like start to dialogue about it.
So we've got to practice this source energy breathing many times together, and it keeps building. The more we do it, the deeper we get into it, and you've had some amazing experiences. So I'd love to talk about how you're receiving the energy flow, and I'd love for you to ask me some questions about, how I got into this, or anything that comes to mind to kind of help the world know where this came from, maybe.
Well, I've got something that just came to mind. I mean, in doing this breath work with you, I feel like I feel like I'm being aligned with the source energy, and a lot of like the work that you're doing involves like bringing in earth and sun and source energy and like merging them. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that and like how that evolved and how that came to you and why you see that as being like really crucial or like a significant aspect of this work.
Beautiful. I feel it's a polarity of some masculine and feminine in a way. Like a battery that's plugged in has a specific way it goes in to function.
Mm-hmm.
So energy flows when there's this circuit. So I feel that from our source, where we come from, there's a tendency to want to come to Earth, and we are in the middle. And so when we activate ourselves, we're batteries, and we can pull in source energy through the sun, and then we can also plug in to the earth, core of the earth, and then our hearts are in the middle. So it's about balancing the polarities of above and below, and also the masculine and feminine inside of us is another big part of it. That when those are both allowed to shine and be open, then that's another balance. So that's really what this work is about. It's about becoming whole again, remembering this pure source energy. Like babies come in, remembering that, and they embody that, and we can get back to that pure resonance inside.
Wow. Yeah, because I really feel like doing this work with you, I am coming back into balance, and I do feel more whole and healed, especially in certain chakras that have been more traumatized, where there's areas of life in that particular expression has been more like suppressed. I feel like a lot of healing in there, and so I'm getting that it's a really just integral part of like our evolution, the evolution of consciousness, to become realigned with these energies. So maybe you could talk a little bit about how you came to kind of understand that was like a necessary part of this process.
Well, I kept feeling done with my exploration of the American dream, and I was feeling unfulfilled, and I had remembered how I felt when I was younger, and I would just be breathing naturally and feel energy come into me, and things that I would think would come true. And I even got to a place where I was scared to think anything negative on anyone. So I had a really magical childhood, and I was remembering that and going, oh yeah, what's up with that? And there was no one to follow. There's no guru that I was being called to. And I always had this inner knowing, this inner guidance that would lead me through my life. When I was really needed help, answers would come through, and I'd have to surrender, have to let go and breathe. And I just remembered just that truth, just that, my intuition. And so I've just been on this path of trying to figure out, how is that working? Where is that coming from? Who's guiding me? What is this? Is it me? Is it someone else? And so this moment in time, I'm a lot clearer on those answers than where I was when I started, and I know I have a lot more to learn, but I've reached a place where I'm ready to share what I do know, and be an example of embodying source light. I just feel like it's a calling, it's an inner calling, like my guides are saying. Yes, it's simple, but it's also really important for people. And this process is going to uplift the whole world, as many people are doing it naturally, and I just want us to become conscious of what we're doing.
Right. It's all about like bringing conscious awareness to the breath. Because as you were talking, I was thinking about how like my whole life I've been really connected to the earth, and I've also been really connected to the sun, like more so than probably most people, and conscious of it, conscious of my connection to earth energy, conscious of my connection to sun energy, solar energy. But the missing link was really like conscious breath, you know? And I think that a lot of people don't breathe, you know? My whole life I feel like whenever I've been under stress, I will like hold my breath and not even know it until like many minutes or maybe even hours go by, and I realize that I'm just like holding, you know? And then I take a deep breath and it's just like, whoa, wow. Can't believe that I was just holding my breath that whole time, just like tightening and contracting. So yeah, I think the breath is a portal that opens us to the divine energies of the earth and sun and source. So that's the key part, you know, because a lot of people do have a connection to the earth or do have a connection to the sun, you know, and are spiritual people, and maybe even are doing breath work, but not necessarily like using the breath work as a portal.
Right. Yeah, the breath activates our portal potential. And it's real. And we both have the Leo energy, the sun energy, because you're a Vedic astrologer. And I love that.
And we both have a lot of Virgo energy. We both have 3 planets in Virgo, which make us really earthy, because it's an earth sign.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've spent plenty of time in nature. We understand the benefits of being barefoot. We eat mostly vegan, a little bit of meat here and there if we need to, but a lot of nuts, a lot of seeds, whole grains, lots of vegetables, lots of pure water. And we really tuned into what our body needs to resonate with energy. Because I feel we've felt it our whole life. Like we've kind of gravitated back and forth between what does the earth and what does the forest feel like, and then what does our mind want, and culture, and you know, we've been dancing back and forth. And there's no right and wrong here. It's just an expansion of life. Right,
and also really, it's really key to purify the body, so that because the body is like our conduit, it's our temple, it's this holy, sacred space where we do conduct these ceremonies of bringing in these energies. You know, this is where it all takes place, in this like holy inner sanctum of our bodies. So to keep that pure, you know, with what we're putting into it is really important, I think, to keep our vibration at a frequency that can channel these energies.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so important to for everyone to receive what you just said. You know, body is a temple. Got to keep the body clear and open. That's how you can really feel the power of the universe moving through you. So when the body's open and clear. And unfortunately, there's a lot of foods in our culture that block us and create all sorts of diseases and inflammation, especially that like the body like clenches up. And so for this breath work that I'm teaching, a big part of it is to have people prepare by cleansing their bodies. That's why we want to do the multi-day workshops with people, and then we can have the ceremonies where we help them remember how to embody light from the source of creation, and how to tap into the core of the earth, and how to breathe both of those polarities into their heart and activate our light bodies and open our hearts. And there's many more steps to it, but that's kind of the basics that I want people to visualize and understand that it's like this is real talk. So what other questions do you have for me?
Well, do you want to talk a little bit about like some of the techniques that are involved with like more like specifics of the breath work at this point, and then maybe I can talk about like some experiences I've had as a result of practicing with you.
So we were talking about the body and opening the body. So to begin, it's really important to do a little bit of yoga or stretching or exercise, you know, going for a walk, doing spinal twisting, doing any sort of yoga, any sort of inversion where you're upside down. You know, getting the body activated is really important to begin. And then when the body's feeling open and relaxed, then it's about remembering the imagination is powerful and relaxing in the forehead and relaxing in the body and closing the eyes. And I encourage everyone to stay safe when you begin this process. So in that inner world, your imagination, your third eye, you just say, thank all your guides for being there your whole life. And if this is the first time you've connected to them, have a great time. Pause the recording. Commune with them. But when we begin this process, it's important to stay safe. So acknowledge their presence, invite them in to keep you safe, and have them be your agents of the divine and help you channel down source energy. And if you want to imagine what that is, imagine kind of like outside the universe. You can imagine the universe as, say, like a huge donut. Then you can just kind of just imagine like outside of it, just kind of coming in. And also we can channel source from our hearts, like we have portals in each of our energy centers. That's another thing. But for the beginning exercise, just imagine like the source of the universe outside coming in, down through the sun, and then into the body, down through your crown. And we're going to breathe through the nose, and we're going to practice this first step that's called the expansive breath. So the expansive breath is about expanding as far as you can, and then holding for a slight second, and then relaxing and exhaling naturally, almost like you're a balloon. So you're going to breathe through the nose, expand as far as you can, and then exhale and relax the jaw and let your breath come out naturally. If it feels better to exhale through your nose, feel free to do that, or through your mouth. Do whatever feels best. So you're going to breathe in through the guidance of your guides and your angels, down through your crown, through your nose, down your spine, into your lower belly, and expand as far as you can in all directions. And relax. Now that can be practiced as long as you'd like. It's good to do barefoot on the earth. Helps with the grounding.
Is there any visualization that we should be doing with that particular breath?
You just close your eyes and relax your eyes and open your third eye and let anything happen that needs to happen. If you can visualize yourself as having, like a tube that goes down your spine, and breathe down that, and then let anything happen in your third eye. Sometimes you may see colors. A lot of times traumas may come up when you start activating yourself in this breath. For me, many years, deep traumas were being released, and I had to cry and just let go. And it's important to let anything arise and breathe through it, and as you get through the other side of the trauma, you'll feel more whole. So a lot of this process is about healing, and once you reach wholeness, then your light body can be fully activated.
Okay, that's great.
So what else can we talk about? Can we talk about your experiences? So we've done the 3-part breath, which is a big yogic breath. We could do that real quick for people. So that's a very important breath to do, and you're going to practice the expansion with the 3-part breath. So you're going to breathe into the 3 chambers of the lungs, and you're going to fill your lower belly, and then you're going to relax. You can do that 3 times. And then you're going to fill your lower belly as far as you can, and then as soon as you feel it fully expanded, breathe upwards into your middle chest, your middle lungs, and begin 3 breaths of expansion there. And then once you've done 3 breaths to your middle lungs, you'll go up to your upper lungs in 3 breaths. So 3 parts, 3 breaths each. So we'll do that for like a minute or so here, and then I want to hear about your experiences.
Okay.
So remember, ask your guides to keep you safe. And breathe source energy down your spine into your lower root and lower lungs. Middle lungs. Upper lungs. It's like going up a ladder on an elevator. Fill the lower, middle, upper. Well, I sure felt that. I feel lighter. My back of my heart opened. How do you feel?
I feel lighter, and I feel like I always tend to feel my heart and throat chakras expand when I'm doing the breath work. I think that's where I have the most blockages, where I need the most work, and where the energy just naturally wants to go. That's just for me personally.
Beautiful. So, this is a radio show, so we'll keep it in a conversational flow. These breathworks I'm going to be offering for people to download pretty soon, so people can go deeper if they'd like. And I've done most of what I'm going to offer with you. Not all of it, actually. There's a lot more to share. But when we incorporated the earth element with you, I noticed, like, especially the women that I practice with, they really love seeing that, to breathe upwards from the earth and do the 3-part breath that way.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot. It's because earth has a feminine nature to it. It's got masculine tones too, but
yeah, so we can do both. I mean, we start by breathing in the source energy through the crown, and then in other breaths we breathe up the earth energy.
Yeah, and I feel it's important to start that way because we gotta breathe, we gotta like purify ourselves. And then once we're pure, then we root into the earth. So that's big thing. And then slowly build the layers of energy around us with the other techniques. So you had some amazing experiences where you felt, like you're saying, you feel certain parts of your energies opening, like in your throat and your heart. Is there anything you want to share?
Yeah, definitely. And I want to preface it by mentioning how that I got an aura photograph done recently, like within the last year, and the aura photograph basically captures, I feel like, the projection of your chakra field. Like, so what my photograph looked like was, it was all red, and then it was all like violet, and there was white. There was like a huge halo of white that formed like an oval around that. And the interesting thing that I observed in that is there was no color from like the 2nd chakra to the 6th chakra. It was all like root chakra and crown chakra, and then with like the white ethereal like egg-shaped globe around that. And I do notice that about myself. Like, I'm really connected to source, I'm really connected to earth, but it's like, to bridge that, it's like there's no bridge. And that, I think, has been like the biggest struggle for me in my life, is that there's no way to connect the two. I'm so blocked in these middle chakras. So I feel like that is one way that this work has really like helped to unify. And it's really powerful that you're actually working with like earth and sun energy, earth and source energy, because that's like, and bringing them together. Like the work I think that we've done that's like bringing them into the heart and expanding it out has been the most helpful for me. So that I just wanted to preface it by saying that it's been really profound for me to build that bridge.
Yeah.
And unite those forces, and I think that it could benefit a lot of people. I mean, it just feels like really important, because a lot of us have these issues, that are blocked.
Yeah.
With like our just being empowered, with our sexuality, with our self-expression, with our capacity to give and receive love, with our trusting our intuition. These are like all these levels, all these, in between.
Mm-hmm.
Being connected to rooted in this body, and then being like up in the heavens, connected to source. There's all this play that goes on in between those that we can get stuck in or blocked.
And we did some color work.
Right, so that was probably really integral to the healing that happened. We did that color work that the first time that I had my far out alignment, right?
yeah, once we did the polarity of the sun and the earth and opened the heart, then we had a safe container of pure energy, and then we started building the colors step by step. So the roots red, then building red into the second, and then putting orange around the second, and building up. And there's actually 2 points in the heart. There's a lower heart and an upper heart. And the upper heart is what a lot of us need to activate. It's called 5D. People may have heard of that. And so yeah, activating each step one by one, building balls of color, it creates this strength inside of us that we can carry through the world. And then, a lot of people that are going to be listening to this are going to be empaths and really sensitive. So a lot of this work is about having this righteous power inside. So there's so that no one can get in, like that you don't want to. You can open yourself in sacred ceremony or to people you trust, but a lot of this is about holding power as you walk through the earth. You walk on the earth, I mean. And so that's kind of my mission, is to help all of us sensitive souls learn how to be rooted with this all-powerful force, and to then start building our light body. So maybe I should talk a little bit about how I learned all this, and
Do you want me to share my experiences first? Because I was on my way to doing that.
You are? Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
I was totally going to do that. I guess I wanted to say that the colors and the visualization is really important. That even if you're like super empathic or sensitive, that it's really, I think part of this work is, if you already have a really developed imagination, or if you're really able to visualize in your meditations, then you're just gonna take off with this work. And if not already, then I think this work will help you develop your visualization skills, because it feels like that's where I've really been able to expand tremendously through being able to visualize what's actually happening in my body. What I wanted to share, and then we can move on, just the first experience that I had, where we had done a session. Oh, and I also wanted to say that it's really powerful work, and it's not to be taken lightly. It may seem like, oh, we're just breathing, but we're actually working with these really powerful archetypal energies, and we're working with source energy, which is more powerful than we can really even conceive. And so I think what I want to share, or just what advice I would want to give to somebody doing this work for the first time, is to just realize that it's really sacred and really powerful. And even if you don't feel anything right away, that you can trust that major shifts are happening in the body, and maybe you're ready for it, and you're able to be with it and process it. And maybe the shifts are subtler because that's where you're at, and you need to transform more slowly. But either way, it's very powerful work, and you can trust that it is working on a really deep level.
Right.
Even if you can't feel it, which I'm sure you'll be able to feel it, but at whatever, wavelength you're receiving it. So after the first full session that we did together, we sat down on the earth
for the integration.
And we were barefoot, and I feel like this work is best done barefoot on the earth, outside. So we sat down on the earth, and I was barefoot and had my feet on the earth and my hands on the earth as well. And it felt good to me to breathe in the earth energy, as you said it does for other women too. Because you were saying, breathe in the sun energy if that feels good to you. But instead I was feeling like breathing in the earth energy. And with each breath that I took, I started feeling my body fill up with this power. And it grew to the point where the energy was so intense that my body was started shaking. And after my body was like kind of trembling, and I started feeling like I was spinning or just rotating, kind of like rotating. It started out as like a rotation, like my body was just started moving on its own in a clockwise direction. Yeah, like that. And just like all of a sudden just started like moving. I wasn't doing it intentionally. And I started spinning around in that clockwise direction like faster and faster. So it was getting pretty intense, and I was like, whoa, what's happening? And then I started feeling that the earth was spinning counterclockwise to me, underneath me. So it was like this really far out sensation of like feeling those two directions spinning at one time, feeling the earth spin counterclockwise beneath me, and feeling myself spin clockwise upon the earth, spinning counterclockwise. And it just grew in intensity. The spinning got faster and faster, and then my body and my head kind of opened up and became like a many-petaled lotus, flowering, blossoming, opening, and spinning at the same time. And there was a lot of light being emitted from the top of my head, and which had become this like lotus flower, like pink, pale pink and white light. And at this point this is when I was like reaching out to you, and I was like feeling kind of like, I don't want to say like scared. It wasn't scared, but I was like, I didn't know why this was happening or like what it was supposed to mean at this point. So so I kind of reached out to you and I was like, what is going on? Like what am I supposed to be like doing with this like experience? And then you told me that I should just breathe into my heart. And with each breath into my heart, I was able to like integrate the energy that I was experiencing and ground it. And gradually the spinning started slowing, and it got slower and slower and slower until it stopped. And then I opened my eyes and got teary. Because it was so powerful. There was also a lot of rainbow colors that I experienced, like flashes of rainbow colors throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I spent the whole day integrating it, trying to figure out what does it mean. And I had a lot of incredible insights.
Yeah, you're talking about it was some divine feminine mother energy.
Right, yeah, that was coming from the earth. We had just received a huge, substantial amount of rain. And the earth was like rejuvenated, and I felt that nourishment. You know, like the earth is always able to give to us of itself and its energy, but I felt like it had really been replenished and was like able to give like way more energy than it maybe had. So I felt a blessing from the mother. It was a very like mother like energy. There was like what a mama, mother, womb, rejuvenation kind of energy. That had to do with the water element. I felt like it was an alignment that happened with my soul, me, and the cosmos. There was a realignment and a rebalancing of me. That was what the spinning was. And then I didn't know that the counter spiraling had to do with creating like a portal or a vortex.
The Merkaba. The interlocking opposing triangles spin in opposite directions. Drunvalo Melchizedek and the Ancient Secrets of the Flower of Life. In Volume 2, he has directions on how to create that. I feel like your guides were helping you, like they activated that for you. That's the intuition I'm getting.
Absolutely, because I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah. So I just wanted you to feel safe and breathe into your heart, because I know that if anything happens and you're not sure what to do, just feel into your center and breathe and call on your higher self.
Yeah, it was so crucial because I was going into my head with it. That's what was happening. I was like, what is this supposed to mean? What am I supposed to be like getting out of this? Like, oh my gosh. And that wasn't like for me to really be concerned about at that moment. It was just about letting the experience happen. So like going to the heart with it and just like opening to it, receiving it. I think that was like crucial. So that's also something that I would just want people to remember as they're doing this work and they're having really powerful experiences. Probably it would always be great guidance to just breathe into your heart. Just start taking deep heart breaths. If you start having really powerful experiences and you don't understand what's happening, just trust it. Don't try to analyze it. Just allow it to happen. Just allow yourself to have the experience, and later on you can integrate it and try to understand it.
Yeah. And always call on the higher self, which is the part of you that lives in Source and is always there to guide you, has your best interests in mind, because it is you. Yeah, totally. So, and that activates our multidimensional self, which is another thing I want to teach, is that we're more than the human body. We start activating our light body, and when we emerge into that, that's like the next level for humanity to experience. And so I'm like gently rising into it. I know as I speak it, there's such an edge to that for the collective to embrace. It's such a leap, but it's a real thing. It's a totally real thing. And so to begin that process, it's comes down to our breath, and also breathing deep into the body. You know, breathing the heart's important too, to center. But a lot of times if we have anxiety, we're breathing maybe too high and too shallow. And so learning to breathe deep into the lower belly and relax will help ground anyone that has any anxiety.
Yeah, that's important. I love the deep belly breaths that we do. It's very grounding.
Well, beautiful. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk with me. What else should we talk about?
Maybe you could share a little bit about, like, I don't know, I find it really fascinating, your experience of like being up on the mountain and like connecting with the sun energy.
Yeah.
I really like hearing about that.
Okay. So yeah, I'll tell a little bit about how this all came to be. So around 2012, things really got intense, but before that, I had slowly been nudged to embody this pure light. And I was having certain days, I would like massive amounts of energy, and I didn't understand why, but I would get all this intuitive guidance and I would start making notes. And so over the years, these notes have become this source energy breathing, and so all the little steps that I've learned in each day have now become pieces of the puzzle. And in around 2012, I moved up to Mendocino County and lived on this huge ranch where I had thousands of acres around me, and unfortunately didn't have very many people to talk to about this. So I would go out and meditate for hours, and in between working as a filmmaker, like computer would be processing something, or I just needed a break. I needed to breathe. I needed my creativity back. So I'd go outside, and I had a lot of time alone, and there'd be deer and birds and trees and the sun and the earth, and those became my friends in a way. Like, that's where my senses were. That's where I went for peace and felt a lot of love. And I remember intuitively channeling the sun into me. I remember visualizing where the sun was and pulling that into me and relaxing. And the more that I did that, I created this like suction effect into my body. And then I could feel my body expand outwards like a ball of light. And as I did that, and as it just happened now, because it's been cloudy all morning, the sun is coming out right now as I speak about it. So this is what would happen to me. I'd be out there meditating, and it could be cloudy, and I'd imagine where the sun is. I'd pull the sun into me, and then the sun would eventually break through the clouds. And so it was confirmation that this was working, and I would feel it too. And a lot of times the wind would start to pick up, wind would swirl around me, and as I breathed stronger, the wind would increase its power, and so I could see that I was becoming one with the forces of nature. As I put them into my body, I was moving them through my breath.
Wow. Wow, it's so powerful.
So and then I realized that if I could do this, others could do this. And I need to confess, I was desperate for energy. We lived on solar panels, and like I had this judgment. I didn't want to use fossil fuels. Like, we had a generator, could have used it, but I spoke to it like, oh yeah, it'd be better not to use that. So I had myself convinced that we had to use solar power. So I kept breathing the sun in almost every day, because we had an agreement where we were living that the batteries had to be at a certain point. And so I feel bad for like pulling so much sun in, because we had such a huge drought. And I know I'm not fully responsible, but I do feel partly responsible. And so that's been another reason why I'm empowering people to visualize pulling in the rain and using our power that way too, which we can. We can do both. We can pull the sun in, we can also pull the water in. So it's just part of my awakening, but I do feel bad, and I just wanted to confess that to the world.
I don't think you should feel too bad about that. When I think about you channeling the sun energy in right there, I mean, you could have just parted the clouds and just beamed the sun right down on your solar panels, and it could still have been raining like everywhere around you. You know, you aren't asking for like all of California to be like filled full of sunlight, were you? Because if you were, maybe then you're responsible. But you just wanted your solar panels to be like lit up.
It's true, but I know I was also trying to pull in that all-powerful light to bathe everyone in California, so that we would all expand. And because I just knew that we need to evolve as a species. So I was trying to do what I could to bathe everyone in light.
So you had good intentions. It's all about balance. Finding that balance.
Yeah, and we could have had water power there if we
wind sounds like there's
could have had wind power there. Could have had more batteries. I mean, there's solutions to everything.
Yeah.
I felt desperate, you know. I felt in like my lower self back then, even though I was expanding.
Survival.
Yeah, it was in like, so the lower self of me, my ego and below, was just like, do whatever it takes to survive, you know. And I know so many people are there, so my prayer is for technology to allow us to not worry about survival and be able to focus on working together as a team, seeing us all as one human family, and
absolutely. That's
rising
where
up
we're headed.
above and in unity, feeling the big we rather than the small me. So thanks for letting me confess that. So I was up on the mountain breathing in this energy, just as it happened earlier. it's a real thing. So I want to start having gatherings and where people can have multiple days in a row, barefoot in nature, eating pure foods, and doing their inner work so they can release traumas, they can get body work, get massages, they can get healed. And then when the body's healed and it's feeling good, then you can slowly begin that drip, or it becomes a creek or a river of electricity that you can start breathing in again and rebuilding yourself from the inside out. And that's my prayer, to be able to offer that for people in the right places, the right times.
Yeah.
As I expand and begin to offer this work for the world.
It's an incredible vision. I definitely want to be a part of it, and I want to help manifest it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Moonleaf. So happy.
Yes.
Wow, so what else do we talk about?
Okay, why don't you talk a little bit about, I don't know if you've talked about this already, but, you could talk about, when you saw, the day that, the spirit energy, came out of the sun and you were doing some kind of work, or...
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of part of this.
Right. So in the advanced levels of this, the highest levels that I'm feeling ready to share, it sounds far-fetched, but I did it. Because I learned from Drunvalo, I remember reading him talking about this in his book, Living in the Heart, where you take a piece of your heart when you're activated, you can take a piece of your heart and put it in the earth. And I realized, oh my God, you could do that and put it in the sun too. So in my meditations, I put a piece of myself in the sun and imagined it was like a seed, like a baby embryo, human embryo. And
did you actually visualize an embryo?
Yeah, I imagined it's like a small point, like how cells divide in as a baby starts as it's like an egg, gets fertilized by sperm, becomes 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, becomes a body. Mm-hmm. So I was imagining with every breath that it was expanding. And then I imagined feeling where the sun is and then looking down upon myself and loving myself as if I was loving my beloved or a child or a family.
So at that point, had yourself in the sun become fully evolved?
I didn't have enough, I think, willpower back then to really go far with it.
Okay.
But I began the process.
Okay.
And
well, just give me an idea of were you just 10 cells at that point, or were you formed into some kind of being?
I think I formed into a baby.
Okay.
A giant baby.
Okay.
But I don't think I went any further than that.
A giant baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the sun can hold over 1 million Earths in it. I mean, it's just ginormous. So I felt that I had done that. I felt that there was a part of me in the sun which helped with my sun power, breathing more energy through the sun into me. Felt like I was affecting the weather. And right around the time, it was in February, we had one of the largest solar flares. And it was so warm. It was summertime in February. And I was with my partner at the time, and I remember in the morning looking right at the sun, sunrise, it was coming right through the window, and I made my prayer to the sun. I want a warm day, I want a super warm day. We're going to the beach, we're trying to save our relationship, trying to save our relationship. And I got the confirmation, yes, sure, all right. And on our way to the beach, we did what we normally do. We get into arguments about the way was driving. She was really not comfortable because of past traumas. She couldn't let go. She couldn't be present. And I would get so frustrated with her and got into a big fight. And I think from then on, like, that was kind of like, we split up shortly after that. I mean, a couple months after that, it was like we were done. It was a really traumatic point in my life. But on that day, we went, as soon as we got to the beach, like right before we got to the beach, I remember sitting in the car looking at her and just being like, feeling the break. There's nothing there. Whatever hope we had years ago is like, it was gone. And so when I went to the beach, I just, with my full heart, was celebrating with the sun. And she actually was happy too in the moment. I remember we both had this like moment of happiness together. And we were just dancing on the shore. And it was like around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And turns out like the rest of the day was actually pretty good. On our drive back, it was actually, we actually had a good time together. There was some sort of release there. But that was short-lived. I mean, our relationship ended shortly after that. But that moment of being on the beach around 4 o'clock, connecting with the sun, feeling all this joy, I found out the next day that there was that solar flare that had happened at that same time that we were on the beach.
Wow.
And I looked at the image and I zoomed in, and it looked like a giant baby, almost. It looks like kind of like a fetus in a way. You can see little legs, a torso, and a head.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just like this, coming out. And
it's like almost like an emergence or a rebirthing or something like that of you.
Something. Or maybe that part of me, that hope of the baby that I was going to make with her, and the energy body that I created in the sun was just like released, because I was really crushed after, like, my energy like totally was crushed when her and I split, like, because I had given my all to her, my whole being I put into her and on the hope of us. And when that ended, it was like I had no energy for a while, and I had to, like, that's another reason why I believe in this work so much. It's because every time I would sit and do my source energy breathing, I would come back alive again. So it's been my lifeline that's given me hope and faith and trust to continue, because it's helped heal me and helped keep me safe as the sun shines again for us. How beautiful, right? And then, interestingly enough, another esoteric thing that I'm beginning to teach is the Zolkeen. And that day that happened was my birth date, which has to do with the number 5, empowerment, and the tone of the dog, which is this white light. And today has that energy in the past. So I'm like living in my future today, in a way. This day of 13 that we're in right now. And so it's just beautiful that you're allowing me to share this story, because I've been so afraid to talk about this, because it's so, I can feel the resistance of the collective, of certain forces that don't want this truth to be told. And then I can also feel my heart and all my guides of the white light wanting me to be authentic. And now's the time to teach and share.
Yeah, it's really important. Even if you only, like my teacher said to me, even if you only like changed one person's life, you know what I mean? It's like, that's one person's life that you changed. So maybe there's going to be a lot of people that hear it and maybe they don't resonate, maybe they do, but I think it's so valuable to just share, because you never know who's out there needing to badly to like have some direction in their life.
Right on. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, for people that feel a call to want to learn about this Zolkeen, I'm teaching that, and it's on ManySeeds.net. /TZOLKIN. And I'll have a link in the description of this radio show as well. Yeah, so I'm excited to start teaching about this structure of energy, this formula that's here to help us ascend and evolve. And when we are in harmony with the flow of each day, then we're in alignment with the Tzolk'in. You know, so a big lesson that I teach at the beginning when I teach this information is like, if you know anything, just trust how you feel inside and go with the flow of each day. But if you want to know how things work behind the scenes, and you really are curious about how divine timing operates, then I'm willing to teach you what I know, so that you can see how all of our desires are organized to be activated in divine timing with the right people at the right times, and the relationships that I discover when I look deeper at the energies that we're holding. It's like, whoa, that makes total sense. Like, you and I have a lot of connections. Your really close friend that came to visit, she had 5 dog on her feminine side, and then her core was what I hold on my masculine side. So there's relationships. And it was so fun to talk with her about this, do the breath work with her, and then have her talk to me later, and I felt like I stepped into my power, something that I needed to share with her. And she was like, whoa, what was that? And she was like, oh my God, you like almost disappeared for a second. You became pure energy. And then as soon as I spoke to you, there's this violet flame and a flash, and then you came back. And I was like, whoa, really? You know? And I've always felt a power come into me, like a light around me, and I've never heard that back from someone. So I'm just grateful for, you know, the presence you bring and the tribe we share, and the time we spent here today, and all the time we spent getting to know each other. And I love you deeply, and thank you for being true. And yeah, I think we'll just kind of close out this interview, and we'll have to do another one where we talk more in detail about what you do.
Yes.
Because you do Vedic astrology, which is like the accurate perception of where the stars are in the sky. As unfortunately, we have this Western astrology that's still being followed, but it's outdated. It's like 2,000-year-old information of where the stars were. So it's really simple, but also, again, but it's really important for people to know that the stars have shifted. So if you're born, you know, on this date, look where the stars are, and that's where your sign is. The Western astrology is going to point you where things were 2,000 years ago. So
right.
I look forward to sharing this information with the world and giving a platform for you to talk about all your knowledge. I look forward to sharing that soon.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to share and just let people know what the truth is. That's what we're doing here. Spreading the light and spreading the truth.
Right on. All right, well, thank you everyone who's listened this far and hung in there on all the wild truth that we're sharing, and thank you for being open to receive it. And we're here to help share what we know, and feel free to contact us, ask us any questions, and please sign up for the mailing list on ManySeeds.net so you can keep informed. And we wish you all the love in the universe to surround your being, and all the angels, and all your guides, just to guide you in service to the greater good of humanity.
Blessings.
Blessings.